But we have a lot of questions, man. But we want to start from the very beginning. So, just to start this off, welcome to a podcast. My name is Alan.
And I'm Jorge.
And today we have a special guest, and he's a local celebrity. Jose Gonzalez, thank you for coming on today, man. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for doing this. Any way I can support, I'm here, man. And just ask any question. I'm open.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's start back. So, I was reading online that your family came to the Willamette Valley back in the 1970s, and I find that interesting because I was reading that your family came out here and they were farm workers.
Yeah.
They were picking berries and stuff, and that kind of ties into one of your businesses that you do. You have a lot of different businesses, but we'll get to that business a little bit later since that was in the most recent years. But I want to know, what was your first job?
Yeah. First job, we were berry pickers.
Okay.
You know, that's all I remember. And I always tell people we're professional farm workers. Professional because that's all we did. My mom and dad, my sisters, because almost seis, right? And so we were all picking. And it was based, we made money and we lived day by day. You know, so when I was little, after a day of berry picking, I'd go to my dad and I'd be like, hey, ¿cuánto? He said, how'd it go today? How'd it go down? And the only reason I was asking is because I wanted to, hoping to see if they had a little extra to go to McDonald's. And that's how it was, just day by day. And we picked everything, strawberries, cucumbers, all the kinds of berries. What else did we do? Green beans. I mean, anything that grew here, that was it, man. That was it. Those are my earliest memories. Is that?
That's awesome, dude. What was your first job? Your mom said you were lazy, dude. I know you didn't have a job like that.
Well, mi mamá también creció en, so my history, we arrived in Woodburn.
Oh, Woodburn, yeah.
Woodburn, and I think it goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Farm workers,
Right.
Alguien conoce a alguien, they come. But mi mamá me llevaba con ella al field.
She said you didn't do much, though. Era para cuidarte.
I don't know.
That's the word on the streets.
I mean, I thought I was doing really good, but maybe I was.
We'll have to bring your mom here para decir la verdad. You know,
I know. Yeah.
I remember I went, how old? I think I was probably like 14.
Yeah.
I went and I picked blueberries. That was like my first like thing, but it wasn't like obviously legit because you couldn't get paid. You couldn't be on payroll.
That's right.
So I would go with one of my uncles, and he would take me. And I think that I would do really well. But then at the end of the day, when he would give me my cut, it wasn't my whole cut.
It wasn't your cut.
It wasn't my whole cut. But like,
he charged you transportation?
Yeah, it's like, I know I cut more than that, but it is what it is. Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
But no, I did blueberries, and then I was really good at la uva. I made good money in the uva. I would make like $120, $140 a day back then. And the uva, that was like my favorite because I was like really fast at it.
Yeah.
And then it was only like, we only worked for like 5 hours. I don't know why, but they didn't let us really work for more than everybody didn't let us really work for more than.
Does it mean because you were a kid?
No. I was running with the big boys there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but so your first job was farm work, and what was your first job outside of farm work?
Canneries. My sisters, they were bilingual. The first bilingual people that worked at canneries, you know, in this one cannery in Aurora. So the office people say these girls are bilingual. Let's bring them into the office. So then they brought my sisters into the office, and then they called us, hey, you guys want a job? I was 13, man. 12 and 13, but my brother was 12. And they got us in. So there we are, acting like 15, 16-year-olds. No, actually, they were supposed to be older, like 16 and up. But we were 12 and 13 working in canneries all summer long. So that was like the first official job with a paycheck. I didn't even have an ID, like to cash the check.
Yeah.
You know, but it was, we saved that money to buy our first Nintendo. That's what I remember.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo or regular Nintendo?
Old school Nintendo, the one you had to blow on the cartridges.
Oh, yeah.
No, Super Mario 1. I don't even know if they had numbers because it was just Super Mario.
It was just Super Mario, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was my first, I would say, official job.
Yeah.
Were you always a hustler, an entrepreneur?
You know, I didn't think so. You know, but two things. One of them is my dad's from Mexico City, from Tepito, right? So Tepito is like, when you tell people you're from Tepito, they hold their purses. Oh, shoot.
Yep.
I didn't know about that, right? But it's one of the, was the toughest barrios in Mexico City. So he's naturally like you said, hustler style. And I didn't think I was until actually my parents, when they were getting their citizenship, because they weren't documented, right? They were. I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you guys know, but when you go fight a case, you go get letters from people, right? And so they told me, I think about 10 years old, hey, go to your teacher, see which one will write a letter for you to say something like, hey, if this kid leaves and has to get deported, you know, like the effect, you know. And so I read my letter, I found it, you know, and it's like when I was 10 years old, and this teacher, actually the teacher wrote it for me, and she says, self-motivated, he's gonna go far in life, he just can't leave this country. Like, it was just like, I need to find this teacher to go thank her. But then I go to myself, damn, so maybe I've always have been self-motivated. I think I have. Yeah. My mom says so.
Yeah.
You know, moms love you no matter what.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
My dad grew up around there too, Mexico City and around Tepito too. I love that area.
Yeah.
Last time I went to there. There's a lot of hustlers that are the entrepreneurs that are from that area. That's
Everybody's
entrepreneur capital right there.
totally right. Yeah.
That's funny. My dad gets. See, I think it's funny when people make those wallet jokes.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not from there, but my dad being from there, I don't get offended. But my dad gets really offended by it. Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know why you get mad. Like, why you let that get to you?
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets upset about those wallet comments he gets.
No, and believe me, it's probably rubbed off on you, because I was talking to some tias in Mexico one day, and she's asking about our family up here, and I'm telling her about my brothers and all of it. She goes, you know what? I just realized what's helping you guys is a little bit of Mexico. You guys are moving the way we have to move in Mexico. You guys are moving like that in the States. No wonder things are going good. So it rubs off on you, your parents, and it goes through. You know, but I can see why. I mean, you know, especially when you come over, you want respect. You know, you don't want to be stigmatized and stereotyped. So I can see why your dad's upset, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm one of the most honest guys, but people always, this lady's like, I don't know if I can trust you, Jose, now that I know your dad's from Tepito. You know, yeah, so I mean, I get your dad.
That's messed up, huh?
Yeah, that's funny.
Dang. So you got letters from grade school teachers that said that you were really motivated like that.
Yeah.
And you started with berry picking, and then you went and you worked at in a cannery. I also read that you worked at restaurants and stuff.
Yeah. Well, see, after that, you know, then I had to get back to school. And my dream was like, I'm gonna go to college. You know, I'm gonna go to 4-year college. You know, I'm gonna go to U of O or one of these schools. So that was the plan. And of course, but there wasn't a lot of money. And back then, nobody approached me about scholarships. And I had good grades. I was like 3.5. I was up there, you know, all through high school. I did pretty good in school. But nobody ever said, you know, anything about a scholarship. So I didn't even think about it. So I went to Shemeketa a couple of years. But then I had my son. You know, I was 18, had my son, so I had to get back to work. And so actually I went to a factory. I had to go work in a factory. So I was working nights, this factory in Tualatin, driving to Mount Angel where I live, and then driving to Shemeketa during the day, and going back and trying to sleep for a few hours, and then, well, my grades were going down, you know, so then I said, I can't do this. So actually I opened up the paper, and it says, restaurant managers wanted. Oh, shoot, restaurant managers. And that was cool because my parents wanted a restaurant, so what we said, one day we're going to open up my mom a restaurant, you know. So I go, maybe I'll go work at a restaurant so I can learn. And it says right there, RTM Incorporated, looking for shift managers. And so I called the guy up, and he's like, okay, cool, let's meet at Arby's on Lancaster. Why does he want to meet at Arby's on Lancaster? That's weird. I want to go work for RTM. Anyways, I get there, and I'm talking to him, and then I'm realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is a job at Arby's, you know? But RTM was like the franchise owner. That was the name of the corporation, you know? Yeah. And so then I was like, that wasn't my plan, you know, but I did it anyways.
Yeah.
You know, and so I went there, and then I went to another restaurant called Boston Market. It's not here no more, you know, but it's in California. And then that's what led me into real estate, was restaurants and then to real estate. Yeah.
Who was a mentor for you back in that day?
You know, it's a good question, man. I think I always look up to my parents. Actually, anytime I'm thinking about something, I bounce it off my parents. Because I think one of the issues when you try to be the first at things, there's nobody to follow. Mm-hmm. There's really nobody to ask. Nobody was there telling me how a young Latino that's like in both worlds, you know, how to navigate the corporate world, how to work with people from other places, and the culture that's here. You know, sometimes it's hard to understand. You know, so I just, you know, I always trusted in them, and I saw that my dad was never afraid of anything. You know, so that's what I copied. I'm like, well, you're gonna get in there, work hard, Yeah, they didn't really have mentors. Yeah.
I read that. Did you start Tu Casa?
No, so I came in about 3-4 years after it started.
Okay, that makes sense because I read that they opened up in '94.
Yeah.
But you have a little bit over 23, 24 years of experience in that, in working for Tu Casa Real Estate. So you started working for them. Was it Hispanic owned?
Yeah, his name is Mario Contreras.
Okay.
He started it. He was really one of the first 2 or 3 Latino realtors in the whole area. And he started out of his house. And I went to go work with him after Century 21 office kicked me out. Because that's where I started, was at a Century 21 office.
Oh.
But they kicked me out because I wasn't selling. And I wasn't selling because they didn't give me any help. And I got in there and I was asking for help. How do I do this? I'm excited, I'm motivated, self-motivated. But I wasn't really getting anywhere. And then 6 months later, my stuff is in a box, in the corner. I'm like, damn, they just kicked me out like that. But the only thing 2 things happen. One of them is when you get a real estate license, it's like a year or 2. It's a 2-year license. So they kicked me out, but I still had my license, right? The second thing that happened is Mario Contreras from Tu Casa called me. Hey, Jose, I hear you're a real estate agent and you're bilingual, and I would like to meet with you. Oh, but I was already out of business by then, And so I told Mario, oh, thank you for the invite, but I'm not in real estate no more. And then he said, what? And then I explained to him what happened. He goes, well, now con more ganas, I want to meet with you. And I told him no, because I thought I was a failure, So I kept telling him no, but this guy Mario wouldn't give up. And then finally he says, okay, Jose, how about we do this? How about we just go to lunch at Don Pedro's on Lancaster? And back then, that was my favorite place. So then I go to myself, you know what? I'm going to get that free lunch. And I'm going to tell him no. That was my plan. But when I was there, he convinced me to give it one more shot. No, and it's been, now this is my 26th year.
2016.
Yeah, man. And I started with him in 98. But then in 2006, when he retired, he said, hey, who wants the company? The first person he went to, this other guy named Mario, said, I don't want it. He went up to me and I said, well, let me think about it. Because one thing is taking care of my family. Now, if I take over, then I got to think about everybody else's family. And I wasn't ready for that yet. But after a few weeks, I thought about it and I said, you know what, that's true. I can care about my family and their families, and let's do it. And so I took over. Yeah.
Why do you think that they didn't want to help you out back then in the day with Century 21?
Well, it's still like this. It's like a business. These businesses are, sink or swim. Like everybody come on in, they bring as many people in, and then see who swims. And the ones that sink, they just keep doing that. It's a really hard business. Like in real estate, I think it's for every 10 people, after 5 years, nomás quedan dos. After 10, nomás uno. It's just, it's tough.
How did it make you feel when you walked in and you saw your stuff in a box?
Shocked. Because I've never been, fired. I've never been, I felt almost disrespected. Yeah.
Did anything come across your mind like maybe if I wasn't Hispanic, they would have helped me out a little bit more?
Well, I mean, one of the things that during halfway through, I kept seeing ads in Spanish. Actually, Tu Casa was doing ads in Spanish. And so I went to the boss at Century 21 and I said, hey, can we do this? I'm bilingual. Let's bring in some of the community. And they said, oh, no, and they never helped. Because back then what they would do is they would put all the realtors from that office, and the office would help. They put their money together and buy ads in all these different places. But I was saying, hey, how about we do a small one in some Latino magazines? There was some newspapers back in the day, but they never helped. Yeah, and there was nobody bilingual, and to them it was like Latinos were like, well, it's not worth our time. And we heard that for years, so it wasn't just them. I think they were being nice to me, to my face. But it was nice to see that guy later when his company was closing and I took over Tu Casa. That was a good feeling later.
I bet.
Yeah, that was a good feeling.
How long do you think that it took for you to feel comfortable selling real estate?
About 5 years.
It took about 5 years to feel comfortable.
You feel lost because every transaction is different. Every family is different. Every time is different. And so you have to go through enough to say, oh, I've come across this now. But it's so new for a couple years. First 2 or 3 years, I was broke and hungry. Like, nah, that was hard. It was hard. Actually, my mom would tell me, Jose, you need to get a real job. I told her, no. And when people ask me how I made it, I would tell them I was stubborn. I just didn't want to give up. That's the only reason. It's the only reason.
What, like trying to prove people wrong? Like, no, I can do this.
Yeah, prove myself right.
Prove
How about
yourself
that?
right.
Yeah, prove myself right.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
That's really big. So, at what point do you think that you started being? Would you have considered yourself successful in real estate? Because you got good year 5, but was that when you were like, I'm like really good at this point?
You know, somewhere around there, 5, 6, 7 years, because it was right before the economy crashed, so it was coming, right? But the reason I say I was successful is I consider myself successful not because of real estate, but because how I felt with my family. That's where I felt successful.
Explain.
So in other words, like I don't know why we always think that we got to go do like in real estate, for example, or you got to go have a strong career, do good, sell a lot, and then you'll have a good life. I've always focused on having a good life, being happy with whatever we have, whatever I got, and that's what makes me good in sales, right? So around 5, 6, 7 years, I felt like I feel my family's in a good place. My kids are doing good. I feel good, you know, and it was about that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. So at a certain point, maybe at that point you're doing well,
Yeah.
family wise, financially wise. At what point does it come across your mind that you can maybe juggle 2 businesses at a time?
You know, the thing about real estate is you're independent, right? Nobody tells me what to do. It's good, but then at the other end, you have to remember that a self-employed person, every day you wake up unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
So every day you got to hustle, right? And through that, in real estate, you have not a lot of free time, but a lot of flexibility. And then that led to me learning about things, taking some time to learn, taking some time to take some chances. And actually, that's when the opportunity came up to open up a restaurant for my mom, business. So that's what sort of started in 2003. We had a restaurant. And it wasn't easy. I did let, my real estate suffer a little bit, but then I was, little by little was able to juggle and then also realize that I couldn't do it all, so I need to find people to help. So everything you see, I'm not alone. It looks like it, but I'm not alone. Yeah.
Now, I know that it doesn't really matter what business you're in. If you want to be big, you can't do it alone. But I think real estate is one of the hardest professions that you can get into. And I think that if you don't have a strong leader leading it, it's going to crumble, because I think there's going to be a lot of rainy days where things don't go the way that you plan for them to go. And if you don't have someone by your side letting you know, like, dude, you got this, like just motivating them and stuff, and like, hey, everything's going to be all right, we'll figure it out. I think that's the hardest part, just waking up and finding motivation within yourself.
Yeah.
I think not everybody can do that. I think it takes a really special person to be able to do something like that.
Thanks, man. I think that's 100% right. And a lot of that matters because you're working with people, and if they don't feel that you're in that mood, then they're gonna say, "I'll go somewhere else because this guy's a downer, or this guy is something's wrong here." Because they'll feel your problems. Our last office meeting at Tu Casa, it was at this restaurant. We always go support Latino restaurants. We went to Garibaldi on Lancaster. We have our meetings there, and most of what we talked about was just everybody's best examples of vacations. Just talking about our experiences in other places and how it's changed how our perspective is. And to me, it was a good conversation because, especially the first time I went to Mexico, man, I saw the reality. I realized, first of all, the first thing I realized, I'm not Mexican. People from Mexico are Mexican, And then the rich and poor, I mean, it's like obvious over there. Here it's a little different, but over there, so that perspective, really helped me today. And so it was nice to hear all my teams, their perspectives of places they've traveled and things that they've done, things that they learned. And you're right. We need to use that motivation to keep going through any tough market. Even good markets are hard. Even good markets are hard for realtors. Yeah.
Interesting that you bring that up about you going to Mexico. Did your kids go to Mexico often growing up?
No, not really, because now we're going back, right? But early on, my kids, we couldn't afford to go. It's too many kids, too expensive. We were coming out of the Great Recession. That smashed us. That crushed us. So little by little, we started first with driving to California. Eventually we could fly. Like the baby steps. But I'm hoping to take them all back to Mexico City, hopefully next year. So
really?
Barely, after all this time. Yeah.
I don't know. I have I don't know how you say it. What do you say all the time? That you have a like I forgot how he says it, but he essentially says that he has like a thought that I think that I have a thought that if younger kids go to Mexico at a young age and they see how things are over there, I think it just changes something in their perspective in their head. Um, I went to Mexico as a young kid, and I also saw like the poverty levels of over there and then versus here, and it's way different.
Yeah.
And I, like for example, my brother and my sister didn't have the opportunity to do that. Maybe my brother at a little bit of an older age, but I don't know. I just feel like it's not the same when you see that kind of stuff at a young age versus a little bit older. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. You know, once my dad, after my parents got their papers, in the first time we went, I was 12. We started going back often because my dad hadn't seen his brothers and sisters for 15 years, you know. So once we could go, first time we drove all the way to Mexico City, man.
That's a long
It was
drive.
3 days of pain. Luckily, I was small and I could fall
Yeah.
asleep. But twice we did that, you know. And then eventually we could fly, you know what I mean, eventually. But by then, 3 of us, myself, my younger brother, and my younger sister, us 3, years later, we're talking about, you know, just ourselves and why our lives are the way they are. And my sister, I think, is the one that said, you know what helped us? All the traveling we did to Mexico. Because it wasn't just, you know, going to, you know, we got a chance to see Acapulco back in the day when it was nice. But because we drove and we visited family in Leon, friends in Toluca, we went to visit one of my tios in Cuernavaca, you know, so we were able to go to be just normal, not like just vacation mode, just normal, hanging out with my primos, you know, seeing aliens. I think we saw aliens one day, you know, in Mexico City, and just the hustle of the way they live.
Yeah.
You know, it changed our life. I agree with you, 100%.
Aliens. Did you see the Mexican aliens they found?
Oh yeah, those
Oh
see
yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. It was people were saying it's made out of clay or whatever. Yeah.
It looked funny. And then they had a meme with the peso pluma mullet.
I haven't seen it. No,
These guys are wild. And with
Whoever
these
creates some
memes,
memes, man, I'm always impressed.
For,
Yeah.
they
They
should
put
make a lot
thought
of.
into this.
They should make a lot of money.
Yeah, but let me tell you about the aliens we saw. So we're in Mexico City. My primos and my dad, they were playing soccer, you know. And all of a sudden, we look up, and there's like these little, balls, you know, like shiny bulbs, you know, like this Christmas thing, you know. And they just started popping up, just far enough where you could see them, not close, but you could see them clearly. And then they start popping up more. And then me and my brother were like, what is that? And my primos are like, oh, son los omnis. That's what they call aliens.
Normal.
Yeah,
Just
they're
like. Oh yeah.
son los omnis. They're always. And me and my brother are like, what? Like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
And we were in shock, right? I mean, I still get chills. And then, I mean, there was maybe 20 or 30, right? For about an hour. And then all of a sudden, they just disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just in different colors, like gold, silver, just, it was the weirdest thing. And then we saw the Mexican news that evening. They're like, oh, hoy había reportes de ovnis en la ciudad. And there's like nothing. And that's my primos, to them was nothing. So
That's
I saw
crazy.
it. I saw it.
It is crazy.
Just like, oh yeah, it's like zombies.
Yeah.
That's great. People would freak out here.
Oh yeah, it'd be mayhem. You know,
It'd be mayhem.
we start rioting and breaking into stuff. You know?
Jeez.
I know.
So, thank you for your opinion on that. I
Yeah.
think I don't know. I agree with that too. I think that mentally does a lot in a good way to kids.
Yeah.
So then, how did you decide that you wanted to do a cider company? How did that come up?
You know, so it's a long story, but I'll just talk real quick about 2 parts of it, right? Let's say 3.
Okay.
The first part was one of my friends. He was a real estate investor from South Korea. His family, you know, and he says, "Jose, why don't you? I need some help exporting craft beer to South Korea. You want to help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." You know. Then I asked him, "How many people are working with you?" And he goes, "Well, did you say yes?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Then me and you." You know. And I was like, "Man, I got a family to support. Like, you can't be trying, you know."
Yeah.
But what was cool about it is he's a cool guy, you know, just so smart. We met a lot of people that own brewery companies, cider companies. He went straight to the top, asked them, and then he got a few that said, "Yeah, if you make sales in Korea, you can represent us." So we went to a trade show in Korea, South Korea, in 2016. And then we went to a trade show in trade mission to Japan. I was in Tokyo for a week. And then at the end of the year, man, he sends me to China, Shanghai, for a week. Shanghai is like Mexico City.
Really?
Mexico City. It's just like, I felt like the same thing. Anyways, long story short, at the end, he's a rich guy. He goes, I'm not going to do that no more. You know, so I'm like, well, I have all this knowledge now, right? So we started, my wife and I were, trying craft beers and ciders. And my wife said, wouldn't it be cool if there were ciders with the flavors we grew up with? And I go, yeah, that'd be nice, that'd be nice. And we looked them up. Well, let's buy some. Let's find them and we'll buy them. Found nothing. Nowhere in the U.S. could we find anything, right? So then I turned to her, the hustler side of me. I go, let's just do it ourselves. And she goes, yeah. So then I went to my son and daughter, JJ and Giselle, and I said, okay, we have this idea. And if we move forward, you guys have to be involved. If not, we can't do it. It's going to have to be you guys. It's a younger game, it takes a different kind of energy. You guys got to do it. And they said, yeah, let's do it. I called my mom in Kaiser, and I go, Mom, hazme tus aguas frescas. Give me some jamaica, tamarindo. She goes, for what? Oh, Mom, you got to trust me. I go, pero no le pongas azúcar. Just make them plain. Just make them plain. So she made it for me. We picked them up, and we mixed them with cider because I thought, is apple going to go with jamaica? Is it going to go? And sure enough, we tasted it. We're onto something. And that's how it started. And not being there and us having to make it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's why I said that it would tie in because I was reading that back in the 70s. Were you 10 in 10 in the 70s or in the 80?
85. So I was born in 75.
You were born in 75. So in 85, when they were working in the farms, his mom would make this aguas frescas for them while they were working. And then he learned the family recipe of how to make these aguas frescas. And then now, fast forward to 2017, he's producing these ciders with mom's homemade recipe of agua frescas. So I don't know.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's funny. And I'm gonna tell you something. This guy gives me a really hard time because my favorite flavor is guayaba. And he says it's a girly flavor, so he gives me a hard time about it all the
That's my
time.
favorite flavor, dude.
Shut
Guayaba.
up, dude. It's not, dude. Every time we go, he gives me a hard time. I'm like, well, guayaba, and he's like, bro, why do you get the
Me and my wife, dude, that's all we get, guayaba.
I'm gonna fact check you there, and I'm gonna
Just
put
call
a
her
wife.
right now.
Hold on, before you call her, we're gonna put a clip of your wife, and I'm gonna ask her because last time we went out to eat, you got a tamarindo. I think it was tamarindo jarrito. What was it? What flavor?
Tamarindo.
It was a tamarindo, and then I got a guayaba, and then your daughter and your wife complained about the flavor of jarrito that you got. And they're you're the only one that likes this. And then when I said I like guayaba, they agreed with me. And then you're like, oh,
But
guayaba's
they
okay.
didn't have guayaba, though. That's why I got tamarindo.
Well, no, that was what you asked for.
Nah, we'll call her next time.
Okay. Next time. Not right. He said not right now.
No, I do remember, but my first choice is guayaba.
Yeah.
For anything, usually and then tamarindo second. But it used to be tamarindo until guayaba.
Until 2 weeks ago.
No, yeah, when we started, the two flavors were three was manzana, but we had jamaica and tamarindo. Those are the two main flavors, the ones my mom made the recipes. But then, and then one day for a seasonal, like a summer, just for a few months, we did guayaba. It sold out. We made, I don't know, 20, 40, I don't even know how many kegs every time we do a run. And we didn't even have enough for ourselves because all the other bars and restaurants just took them. And so then we did it again, sold out again. So then we decided to just make that a full year. And it's been our #1 cider, guayaba.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been #1. So, and I think it's because people here, they don't know. A lot of people don't know jamaica tamarindo. I think that's why. If we're in California, probably a different story.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Do you think people know more guayaba?
I think they just know guava.
Guava, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But even today we get people say, "What's tamarind? Like, what's tamarindo?" We still get a lot of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they call Jamaica. They say, "Can I get a Jamaica?"
Oh,
Like, yeah, man.
Jamaica,
We'll sell you
put
whatever.
that up.
Whatever you want, we'll sell it.
So you opened that at this point. So you're running real estate, and you're also running this a cider company now, producing the cider. And at what point do you decide that you want to get into city council?
Oh, I see. I didn't decide.
Yes.
No, because you see what happens is, and anybody that gets involved in just helping volunteering, eventually someone's going to say to you, you should consider running. And so that's what happened to me probably in 2010.
Oh,
It was 11 was the first time someone said that to me, and I said, I don't want to be no politician. I'm not crooked. Like, I don't want to be that person. But then I started to realize what they mean is there's more roles, there's a lot of roles in the community that you can help. That's what they meant. Not to be a politician. They're saying, hey, there's these roles so you can actually be a volunteer and keep helping, but just help at a different level. That's what they meant. So it took me a while to realize that they weren't saying bad. They were just, trying to share what, like motivate me. And then someone said to me one day, you know what, you need to forget about these national politics. You should think about local politics. Like, well, what does that mean? City council and all these things. I'm like, what do they do? Like, I didn't know. So then I met some of them, and then they encouraged me, and I still said no because I love business. I love spending time with my family. Like, this politics stuff didn't interest me. And but then what I started to see, actually what happened was in 2019, the city told us that from 2018 to about for 15 years after that, 50,000 more people are going to move to Salem. 50,000. It's happening, right? So then that stayed with me, and I'm driving around town, and I would see a problem. I'm like, it's going to get worse with 50,000 people. It's going to get worse. Like, I just kept thinking of how much our traffic is going to get worse. All these things are going to get worse. But then I kept seeing it's going to get even more worse in Northeast, right? All those things we talk about are going to get even worse, And then one day I just woke up and I said, I'm going to run. Just one day to the other. The day before you would have asked me, I would have said, you're crazy. The next day, I'm in, 100%. And then I figured it out. But then COVID hit, so it was a really weird campaign. I couldn't go door to door. It was messed up. But, I still got it. Yeah.
What made you make that decision? Like, what clicked? Like, did you think about it overnight, or or?
I think I had been building up, but I think it was actually, that's a good question because the past city councilors for Northeast Salem, nice people. I know them. I know both of them. But they weren't from the Latino community, right? And they would ask me questions about things. I'm like, well, that's good that you're asking me, but I wish they knew, right? So I kept seeing a lot of the disconnects. There's a lot of things going on, but our community doesn't know. And then what I would find out is the police, they didn't really want to go to Northeast. They wouldn't even really bother sometimes because they'll be like, they told my friend this because he did some ride-alongs with them. He's like, we don't even have to hurry to go to Northeast because nobody's going to cooperate. Nobody saw nothing. And they might not even give a police report. So we'll just go we'll try to get the report. If not, we're not even going to bother. Yeah. So then I go, oh man, now I'm starting to see some of the problems. So that was what it was. It was just to say, okay, how about someone that was from here, farm worker, like just because I'm proud of it, and maybe this voice needs to be on city council. Yeah,
needs a voice, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. A question on that, talking about police, talking about Northeast Salem. I noticed that now they have a Northeast Salem department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the right answer to help with those issues are more police, or do you think it's having more Latino police?
Yeah, definitely more Latino police. I think what you're talking about is the county. Marion County has a East Salem.
Yes, excuse me, East Salem.
And I think they did that because it's weird because police departments also, the way they get paid is through different ways, right? Taxes and all this stuff, but also through grants. So I think the Marion County was able to hey, we need some extra money, some extra efforts in here, right? But yeah, no, hiring's actually they've proven it. Like, it's people from the same community where they live and work that have the best impact because there's already some familiarity. There's trust. The people see them and there's some trust, not just someone that lives in another area, does their job and then leaves. Yeah, so man, we need more. We need more Latino policemen. Yeah, because too many police, and especially the wrong ones that aren't connected, it's going to lead to problems because there's no trust. Now the community doesn't trust them, and then the police don't trust the people.
That's very true. Because when I was in California, my wife's side, her family, su hijo es policía, but everybody just kind of it's just a different vibe, Yeah. They're having get together with the family, and he drives by with his patrol car and comes in. Everyone says hi, and then two other patrol cars come, and everyone's saying hi to everybody, and they don't really know them, but they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's saying hi, and they're like, all right, guys.
Yeah.
Y se van, and it was a different atmosphere for sure. And then everybody in the community asking them, hey, can I get a picture with you? Can I get a picture with you? And all this, and asking them questions, and what about this, and the camera this, and all that, and they were just engaging, and it's different because a lot of the times, uno va creciendo, and you know, you don't see, you know, a cop that looks like you know, and I think a lot of people want to see that.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly right.
Parents threaten me with cops, so they go, "Voy a decir a la policía. Le voy a hablar a la policía."
Eres my primo Jaime.
How would you, so being in city council, how would you explain that? Is that like a full-time job? Is that like how much time does that take up?
Yeah, so it's volunteer, ¿verdad? It's volunteer. Salem is volunteer council, and the mayor's volunteer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so mayor's volunteer. We're all volunteers. So imagine it like we're just, it's 8 councilors and the mayor, and we're just advisors to the city manager. And then the city manager is the one that hires. I think the city of Salem has 1,300 employees, right? So we're just advisors, right? That's technically what it is. I can't call up the police chief, even though he's my friend, and ask him to come over. Like he doesn't work for me. Does that make sense?
Arrest Jorge.
These guys are,
You looked at me wrong.
These guys are Liberty. You gotta rough them up. No?
He's a Chivas fan.
Oh man, you'd have to say that.
Oh, you're a Chivas fan?
Americanista.
Oh, I am too.
Oh, okay.
No, I said him.
Oh, this
yeah.
guy. And you guys work together?
No, I'm a American fan, dude.
Those are
Yeah.
the 2 jerseys. El America, yo Morelia.
Oh, Morelia. Okay.
Morelia doesn't exist anymore, but I mean, still.
That sounds good.
No, this guy, he's a weird fanatic. The only team he cares for is Barcelona.
Oh, I see.
So he won't wear a Madrid jersey. But anything else, he doesn't care. He'll wear a Beaver jersey, he'll wear a Duck jersey, he'll wear an America jersey, and he'll wear a Chivas jersey. He doesn't care. But I guess since he doesn't have a team anymore, you know, Morelia no longer exists.
You're like a foster.
So he's
Foster.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my dad's Americanista till he dies.
mine too.
I mean, like,
See, will they ever wear a Chivas jersey?
I wouldn't.
See, there you go.
I
Same thing.
would.
So
I
it's the
definitely
same
would.
thing.
But I would never wear a Duck jersey either.
that's true.
Even though we're getting our ass whooped today.
Ducks?
Oregon
No.
State.
Or
Oh,
Oregon
no,
State,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, Oregon
Yeah,
killed
at
it
least the
today.
Ducks,
Dude.
yeah.
Oregon killed Colorado, which I didn't think would happen. But no, Oregon State is having a rough
He
day.
just bought a poncho right now at the Viva
Oh
Salem.
yeah, actually, we were talking about that event, and you were the one that told us about these events. So let me show you what we got.
Really?
It was a Beaver's poncho.
Hey man, who did? Oh yeah.
So hold this.
That is nice, man.
Hold this.
Yeah, we met this lady. She's from Hillsboro, and yeah, she's
Artesanía
and
and
First Mobile.
First Mobile Artesanía Boutique. So she has a bus, and in her bus, she stores all this stuff. So she will come to events, and then she'll sell her products. So this is made in Mexico, and then we got some wrestling masks too.
Those are nice, man.
Yeah, man, thank you. So we're gonna plug her Instagram,
That's
and
right.
she's got her Instagram and everything. She's good.
That's what I like to hear, man. Things like that. That's a great story.
Heck yeah. But no, I've been wanting a pancho,
Yeah.
but I haven't found one that I like, and then I saw this one. I'm like, this
There
is
you
it.
go.
This
Hey,
is
go
it.
to the Beaver game.
She got you.
She got me.
Llevas.
Unless Ellen wants to hold
No,
it
that's
for
fine.
us to serve.
Yeah, but it was pretty nice over there. We actually did a recording with her real quick. I
Oh, that's good.
put her on our page as well. But yeah, she's a pretty awesome lady.
Yeah, she's really involved in it. She does TikToks and everything.
Really?
I was impressed.
I thought she was gonna be nervous me recording her. She's like, oh yeah.
She just jumped on.
I was more nervous than her. Yeah.
I still like to see. Man.
Yeah,
I
I
like
was
to see
like,
that.
yeah,
Sin pena. you know?
yeah,
Sin pena.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm sorry, I forgot what were we talking about. I got excited showing them my Beaver pancho.
Talking about soccer or something.
Oh yeah, I'm an Americanista fan too. Yeah, we're talking about that. Never wore a Chivas jersey in my life.
Do you follow sports?
You know what? I always loved it. You know, growing up, my dad always wanted us to play soccer. But back in the day, the only people that played soccer was Woodburn, and we lived there for a little bit. But no other schools we went to had soccer. And then all my jobs, everything I've always worked was weekends and evenings. Always to this day, 7 days a week. So I sort of lost touch, and so I'll sit there and watch a game when it's, when I have some time, but I don't. I just wish I had the time. But nowadays, like when I talk to my son can say, "Oh, this player, oh, he went to college here, he had blah blah blah, and then he went to high school over there. He knows the whole story." I'm like, damn, there's no way I'm gonna catch up anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And these sports fans, man, they know everything.
Yeah.
You ever go to Timbers games?
I have been.
Those are fun, huh?
Yeah, those are good. Actually, the best Timber game I ever went to was when they played America a long time back, 2015, I think.
I didn't go to that game. You told me about that game, but I couldn't go to that game.
Yeah. It was one of my dad's. I never seen him smile so much.
Really?
Yeah. America won. The crowd was there. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was crazy, yeah. I went to the Morelia Timbers. That one was crazy, too. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was surprised. It was probably the only time I saw Morelia here in the States, but yeah.
I think I watched America and Sounders. I went to Seattle for that one. I remember when that was like 2016, 17 también.
You were in the Sounders area though.
I was, and I was the I didn't know. He helped me. He set me up. He helped me buy the tickets, and then me and my girl show up, and it's just me and her, and I'm wearing an America jersey, and then everybody starts like looking at me and just start like talking about us and stuff, but. They were talking a little bit shit, but then when we sat down and everything, they were like really nice. But then other people started getting kind of aggressive on our way out. Like it was wild. Yeah, I definitely picked the wrong side of the stadium to sit at.
The thing about that is that I buy the tickets for Timbers, but in Seattle, like I don't know.
That's true.
Like, just get this one. That's a good
That's
team,
true.
But I didn't know that's where their section was. Like Timbers
I
Army.
could have died.
I know, yeah.
I was like,
it'd be just you here, me and you.
I know.
Just you two. Juanito would be here.
He sends me a picture. Dude, I'm at the Sam's area. Jacket? I'm like, cómprate una camisa de Sounders.
Damn, that's another jersey I wouldn't wear. I can't wear a Sounders jersey. Timber fans.
Yeah, true.
But that's true. You were talking about the council. So
yes.
So the hours, I would say. So officially, there's 2 meetings a month, right? Every second and fourth Mondays. You have council meetings. We have committee meetings. So it's just a bunch of meetings. They bring the councilors together. They get some ideas, and then the city does the work. We don't do none of the work. We're just advising. So luckily, half of those meetings we can do on Zoom. So it's a lot of savings of time. But you can spend, a couple hours a week or 20 hours a week doing council. I mean, we can go volunteer as much as we want. So it's up to you. And I only have so much time. I'm a working dad, so I have to be careful, man.
So right now you're actively working in real estate, and then you're actively also working with the cider company, La Familia Cider. And then you're also volunteering as a city council for the city of Salem. How do you manage your time with work and family?
Well, I always think of family first. Like that's my first thought. And every hour that I'm not with them, I'm thinking about that. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to balance? Like, is this a priority or should I just stay home? So I put them first. Because if you put work first, it's going to be hard, right? So I'm able to put them first. And then from there, I just prioritize as much as possible. Like on real estate, I work with clients that want to work with me. I don't waste time with ones that don't. I don't chase them. I don't have that time, if you look at my calendar, it's broken up like 20 appointments a day. It's just back to back to back. It's just, I squeeze in a lot. I plan ahead. So like right now, let's see. Next week, I'm pretty much full. So I'm already making appointments for the week after and then the one afterwards, right? But I leave some time for the things that come up in real estate, the things that come up with the cider house, the things that come up with council. So I leave times available, but I pretty much everything, I book my time. And I always try to get home after 5. I just try to get home.
Did you ever see yourself doing all this?
No. You know what I imagined myself as? I thought I was going to be in the corporate world, in some corporate office, with a tie, and just work in some office. That's all I thought.
Yeah.
I had no idea. This right here was like, I call myself the Mexican Forrest Gump. Because I've had like every life that I had is so different.
Yeah.
Like our farm worker life, my family were like a completely different family. When I worked in restaurants, I was a completely different. I mean, it's like every chapter is so different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives me the confidence to keep trying new things. What's the worst that can happen? I go back to being a good berry picker.
Yeah.
Probably not as good as you. You know?
I was pretty good.
Yeah,
man.
no,
I don't think you want to compete with
I don't
me
think
at
so.
that one,
I wasn't that good, man. I like to eat.
Yeah.
One for the bucket and one for me.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds like my son.
See?
Yeah. What advice would you give someone to be able to handle family and business?
Well, first of all, I think it probably starts before that. It's trying to figure out who you are, right? Like when I'm at home and the phone rings, I'm myself. Whoever calls, I don't even know it's a number. They call me, I don't know what it's about, but I'll answer it and I'll get it done. I don't try to separate myself from work. I'm not two different people. I'm not three different people. I'm just one person, and then I'm just doing as much as I can. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really separating myself, because that's what's hard. Because then, you want, today I'm going to be a dad, and then the phone rings, or today I'm going to work, and that my kid's sick. A lot of clash. I'm just the same person. I'm one person. I don't. Some days I have enough time for family. Sometimes I don't. It's not perfect, but I don't kick myself. And then from there, everything's easier if I'm centered. I'm just focused. Actually, you know what's actually more important? Health. Being healthy is my number one priority. Because I'm healthy, I can go hard all day.
Mm-hmm.
I can be there for my family. I'm not like sick. I'm not tired. So health is probably the first thing. Yeah, it's probably my secret, I guess. Maybe trying to focus on it.
That's good.
Yeah, because they say if you don't have health,
Yeah.
no puede ser nada. It's
Yeah.
like the what do you say? The wealthy?
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I think growing up, and I don't know if that's just Latino community or just anywhere in general,
Yeah.
they don't really speak about health.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a good point though.
Yeah.
Question: how do you handle stress? Like, is there a moment in time where you find yourself like, what am I doing? Or I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit, because at the end of the day, when you're in charge of something, when you're the boss, the problem stops. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You can't go to complain to somebody else and say it's not my problem. It's my problem. Like when I drive around town and there's some garbage in there, I'm like, before I would complain, but now I'm like, shoot, I can't complain no more. It's me. I got to call the city. Hey, what's going on at the corner of Hawthorne and Market? Why is there all this mess there?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna pick up that garbage? I have to make the phone call.
Yeah.
But and the way I deal with stress is two things. One of them is every moment I can throughout the day, like every 30 minutes to an hour, I take a quick break. I just shake it off, get up, read something, watch YouTube, go on Facebook, go to the restroom, just anything, just to like disconnect for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 minutes later, I just get going, and I just do that all day. And so then it doesn't, no matter what happens, it doesn't build up, right? And then the second thing I do is I just relax for a bit whenever I feel that stress. Because I sort of like it, I like the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So then when I feel it, I'm like, hold on. It's just me, Let me think clearly, because when you're stressed, you can't think clearly.
Yeah.
So I do my best to try to calm down, but it's taking those little breaks throughout the day, even if it's just 1 minute, 5 minutes, just to forget about something and then come back to it. My wife makes fun because there's some days when my wife and I work together, and I'm like, I'll be working for about 45 minutes. I'm like, break time. And she laughs at me, but no, it's real. I just need at least a few minutes to just think of nothing. Go laugh, see something dumb online, anything.
Well, you did say something that it's the build up, right? And I think that's it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
What kind of stuff do you watch on YouTube?
Let's see. It's a good question. So right now I'm learning about fasting. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about that.
That's hard.
Yeah, I know, but it's helped that my daughter's 17, so 18 years ago, my wife and I stopped eating red meat and chicken.
Really?
Now we still eat bacon. We eat chorizo. Like those two things we can't give up. But we changed because back then we knew something was wrong. We were just not doing it right. So health stuff, I'm always reading, learning about. I'm also about people, body language, just trying to. We're in sales. A lot of what we do is dealing with people, working with people. So I always like to make best use of my time, and so I'm always learning about people and myself, which is sort of learning about yourself too.
Yeah.
Leadership stuff, business things. I consider myself like a lifelong learner. Actually, what happened was in 3rd grade, I remember we were in class and the teacher's talking about the brain, and she's like, "This is where you can learn, and everything you learn goes in there." So I thought to myself, I raised my hand and I'm like, "Can you fill it up? Like, how does it get full, right? And she goes, no, you can't fill it up. And I go, yeah, I can. Watch, you know. And so then it taught me. I'm always wanting to learn, and so that's what YouTube to me is like. It's like getting the degree I didn't get.
Can you name a couple of your favorite YouTubers that you watch?
Let's see. Oh, you know what?
Or like sells people on YouTube that you watch?
You know what? The YouTube, the rabbit hole. You just start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a guy that has a blue screen. He's always talking about different things. Oh, actually, I'm reading a lot right now. I'm learning a lot about human trafficking.
Okay.
Because I was talking to the police chief and I said, "What are we doing in Salem to make sure there's So I'm learning a lot about that. But there's a couple guys that bring on just different hosts, just like this, And those are the ones I like to listen to because I like the way they ask questions and then I like the responses. Even if it's topics that I might not be interested in, but I'm willing to, at the gym, that's what I put on and for an hour, I'm just listening to that.
Yeah.
Everybody else is jamming out, I can tell, but not me. Me is like, just that, I'm learning.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's what I do too. I go on YouTube too to kind of like decompress.
Yeah.
And then every night when I get home too, I usually watch like at least a half an hour of YouTube before I go to bed. Like when everybody's already asleep, I'll come home and then I'll just take a shower and then I sit down on my kitchen table and then I just watch like 30 minutes of YouTube of whatever I want to watch. And this guy gives me a hard time. He says nobody watches YouTube.
Well, now we have two.
No, I mean, I didn't say nobody watches YouTube.
Oh my
I said
explain yourself.
Nobody watches YouTube like they used to back in the day for an hour or 2 hours. It's usually kind of maybe a clip of 20 minutes, 15 minutes. That's kind of what the average person does. Average. So
maybe you're meaning like the younger audiences don't do it.
The younger
because
audience,
like our
right?
audiences will.
One of the things for me was, okay, well, if you want to do YouTube, right? Because we do have a YouTube channel which we put our videos on. The younger crowd or the generation como se va, the way that it's going, it's going to be like 20, 30 minutes or less, not over an hour. That's why I argue with him. But.
I see what you're saying. The way. So one thing that what I love about life is marketing, right? Marketing, and to me, marketing isn't just like the business of marketing, but to me is you have a message and you're trying to get someone to understand it, right? So we do things, right? Marketing stuff, But one of the things that I was blessed with is I have my two older kids, right? Then I have my two younger ones, but I've always watched them how they consume information, how where do they learn about buying something? I learned about it from TV, right? During the cartoon era, just a cartoon. Like when I grew up, there wasn't a lot of time for cartoons. It was just in the mornings, a little after school, and Saturday mornings. That was it. So that's when they would jam pack it with commercials, Transformers and cereals and stuff, But now my son, he's 14, and I've watched him. And back in the day when he used to, he couldn't even type YouTube. But what he would do is he would go on the voice YouTube, and it would bring it up, right? So that's how he found it. But everything that we bought for him that he wanted was based on YouTube, So he does it. He watches it differently than I do. I watch it totally different. Yeah, but him is just right now he's learning how to play the guitar, so he's playing videos all the time. And people that are playing music, he's copying them. He's learning to play. Actually, he learned to play the guitar from YouTube.
And I think a lot of people do go there to learn, which is that's fine. But what we have is a little different. We're not, showing someone how to do something.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier. For me, it intrigues me how the human brain works, how the marketing strategy is, why people like iPhone. Why does a little kid like the Beats headphones if they don't even know what it is, right? Why do they like this? Why do they like that? Why are kids liking this now? Can a kid actually watch a full soccer game of 90 minutes? No, there's been studies already that no one can really. A certain age, they cannot watch a certain game for that long.
Yeah.
They have to go to highlights. So I'm telling him. So you got to understand, all this is changing. So you can't. We just kind of have to fumble with that kind of a little bit and play it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me though.
Yeah.
But he's got his stuff. I don't think no one's wrong or right. It's just more of a input, and I just give him crap for it.
That's true.
He does.
I just like to pick his buttons. That's it.
And one of the things is that I watch the most random videos, and it just relaxes me. Like he was giving me a hard time because I was watching. I got into the rabbit hole of these what do you call them?
Travel vans.
Yeah, these travel vans.
Those are good.
I don't care about travel vans. I don't want to own a travel van, but I got caught in one of these clips and then I looked into it and the next thing you know, I'm watching 20, 30-minute videos about travel vans. And I just find them so interesting and how people travel, where they travel, and then they like they're like streaming video games out in like the middle of nowhere and with these travel vans. And he brought up a travel van for some reason, and then I started giving him facts about travel vans. He's like, "How do you know this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just watched it on YouTube."
Sure.
But it's like I don't. And he's like, "Why do you watch these things that you don't really care about?" I'm like, at the moment, I just find them interesting, so it just relaxes me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I find a clip, and then I just start like looking into things, and just.
No, believe me, and I think that's what it is. You know, first of all, they're smart, Google, and then they know what we want. You know,
They are.
So they're giving it to us. You know, but the other thing to me is since I grew up in a time where any kind of education like this, especially business education, sales stuff, was expensive. You had to buy these courses. You had to go fly out, and now I can just sit there and for free watch them. It's crazy to me because before that was so we're watching things that used to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and now it's free. You know, that's why I like to take it in, you know.
Yeah, think about it, dude. I don't know if your parents ever had it, but Inglés Sin Barreras, those video tapes and stuff.
That's right.
Those were expensive.
That's right.
Yeah, there used to come like a whole package, a bundle deal. Like, just imagine.
That's right.
I mean, I never sold that, but like, just think about the salespeople that were, selling that.
That's right.
Now they just have it online on social
Apps.
media. Apps.
That's right.
Yeah, oh,
Duolingo.
the Duolingo.
Yeah.
We just
Google
had
Translate.
we just had a guest. Actually, she said the Duolingo. She's Navajo.
Navajo tribe.
She said that now they have. Is that the only indigenous?
No, there's more.
No, she said that was the only one. Navajo was the only language.
So the first one.
Oh,
Yeah, first
language.
one.
Okay,
Language,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, language.
Yeah, she was telling us. I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, she was saying that not a lot of people knew the language, but she said that Duolingo was really good.
That's good.
So good enough.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Before we started, I was telling you about the impressive resume that I saw online.
Oh yeah.
And now that we're on, I want to read that because it's a long resume. Let me see here.
Take a drink.
Yeah, it's long-winded, so I better take a drink. Jose's community involvements. Latino Business Alliance founding board president. Catholic Community Service Foundation Board. Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency. Main Street Alliance, state and national. Movimiento Radio, host of a show. Your family, your home, your money. Marion County Sheriff's Community Leadership Council. Oregon Community Foundation Mid-Willamette Valley Leadership Council. Oregon Community Foundation Grant, evaluator for the last 5 years. Oregon Community Foundation C201, trained young pros how to serve on boards. Merit Board, Small Business Development. Family Building Blocks board member. Salem Multicultural Institute board member. Cover Oregon board member. Downtown Woodburn Association board. Farm Worker Housing Development Council board member. Oregon Realtor International Business Committee. Chemeketa Community College President's Community Leaders Council. United Way Community Impact Council. Marion County Economic Development Council. City of Salem Budget Committee. I'm not sure if this is abbreviated, but it's SMART, S-M-A-R-T, board member.
Start making a reader today.
There we go, start making a reader today. Salem Chamber Latino Advisory Council. And Salem Chamber 2015 Distinguished Service Award.
That does sound like a lot, yeah.
That sounds like a very impressive resume. But I mean, that's a lot, man.
That's a lot.
Yeah, believe me, all those. It's funny I read them, but when you say them, it sounds different, you know. And each of those is a good story, and I learned a lot. But that's what makes me feel like giving back more because I'm learning this information, and then I need to give it back, you know. So I hate keeping things, you know. Anything that comes my way, I like to pass it along, and I think that's what helps because I keep passing it along, and then people, you know, like see that I'm not trying to keep anything for myself, and it just keeps going in circles. So people trust me, you know. So I always tell people, you want to change your life, go volunteer on these boards. I mean, it's not hard. Anybody can do it. I mean, I'm nobody special. You know, it's just you need to set aside a little bit of time. But all those were fun. Were fun to do. Yeah, all of them.
That's awesome. Radio host?
Yeah, so now it's called Radio Poder, but there's this. It started as Radio Movimiento in Woodburn under Pecun. you know. And actually, back what happened was they launched in like 2012 maybe, and we were one of the padrinos, the sponsors, to help get it going. And so they're like, "You guys want a radio show?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And eventually they taught us how to. Eventually it got to the point where it was just us, a couple guys from our office. We go every week and we take the soundboard, to put in the commercials and we called it. But in Spanish it was all Spanish. It was tu familia, tu casa, tu dinero. That's all we talked about. So we talked about money and family. And one day I talked about not eating meat, and we started getting phone calls.
He got canceled in the Mexican.
People were like, wait a minute. Hey, you can talk about money, but don't talk about my carne. No me quites mi carne asada.
I know.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was just a show, trying to talk about, like, we're not supposed to talk about our business because it's volunteer, but we try to talk about everything, So it was good. We did it for a couple of years. It was fun. Yeah.
He was a DJ Gonzalez.
Actually, my brother's DJ Gonzalez, so we can't take.
Oh,
his name.
really?
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, I was radio host.
Radio host.
I'll take that.
There we go. Radio host. I have some questions on here written down. So let's say that your real estate, you get to the point where your real estate company and both your cider company are both very successful, and they don't really need you in the business as much anymore. So you have a lot of free time. If you won the Powerball for $1 billion, what would you do with the money? Do you think would you get into a specific business, specific industry? What would you want to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've thought about it. We all think about it when that Powerball gets high. Well, to me, I think what's helped me in my life. I mean, I figure I can only help with what I know. And what I know is that the more people that can get up, create their own way of bringing, we call it entrepreneurship and making money, but to me, it's like the more people that know how to get up, that can get up and make something for themselves and bring some cash in, the better, right? Not everybody has to go work for somebody, but I always tell people, hey, if you want to be one of the best employees, go learn about marketing, even if your job's not marketing. Go learn about HR, even if you're not involved in HR. Go learn about, how's the pricing structured in your business, because that's what makes you valuable in a company, that you know all these things, So to me, the number one thing I would invest in is small businesses and helping people sustain themselves. That way they don't have to work for somebody else. They can, but in case comes a moment where they can't, they have a way to do it. 'Cause let me give you an example. So through the Latino Business Alliance, we were able to, it took me 10 years to get some money so we can do our own loans. So we can do our own loans, right? Our loans are different from banks. We wrote our own rules. One day we'll talk about that. But we have a guy that he was in construction and he got so disabled that he's in a wheelchair, right? Mexicano guy. And he was depressed. Finally, one of his friends said, you need to get out of it. You need to do something. And he goes, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've been working construction my whole life. He's not that young. And then he goes, well, the only thing I can do is I can fix things. And so what he started to do is, this is here in Salem, he started to fix his family and friends' cell phones. Like he'd go in there and he'd fix it. If the charger wasn't working, he'd fix it, right? And so then he started doing it more and more. And he goes, maybe this is my business. So he started his business. But now the problem is that he doesn't have the money to buy those expensive parts because he needs to keep, like, he picks the top 2 or 3 phones, 4 or 5 phones, and then he buys a couple screens for each, a couple adapter connections, and it's expensive. So he came to the LBA, and we gave this guy a $15,000 loan. But when we asked him what's this for, he's like, for inventory. We're like, inventory? $15,000 worth of inventory? Then he explained to us what it was, right? And he told us his story. We gave him the loan. Actually, we just gave him the loan last week, And you should have heard the way it's changing. It's going to change his life because now he can sustain himself. So you'll see him. You guys can bring him in. It's called If It's Broken, I Fix It LLC, and he's going to be one of the first mobile bilingual. And he'll go to you to fix your phone on the spot.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow!
And he'll change your screen. He'll do that, and his prices are reasonable. And anyway, so that motivates me, because now he can't do a job, right? But he's able to lift himself up, through that. So to me, it's probably the most exciting thing. Yeah. So that's where I put all my money.
There we go.
In people. Yeah.
In people. I love that.
Yeah.
So would you pursue like a political career?
You know, I get asked that, and I think about it. And one thing I never do is I never close doors. You know, like I'll never say no to nothing, everything. You know, just never, never. I never use that. You know, so but I just don't see myself doing that. You know, because my passion is over here. In politics, the games you guys see on TV, they happen here in town. These back deal games, and it happens at every level. And it's sad to me because we can get real things done, but there's games being played. People want power. When people have one position, they're thinking of the next one and the next one, and they're not focusing on today. You know, so then to me, I'm like I understand that. I'm not afraid, but I only have so much time in this world, and I want to focus on. I want to work with people that are in it with me 100%, and we're moving things instead of trying to move things and people are playing games. I'll still be now. I know what's going on, but does that make sense? I want to spend my time with people that we're on the same page. We trust each other, and vámonos, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why. That's the only reason why I wouldn't. But I don't close any doors. So, vamos a ver.
There we go.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Blue Origin? Jeff Bezos is a spaceship company.
You know, a little bit.
Do you know him and Elon Musk? They like compete in that. They
Yeah.
both have a company, and it's supposed to be SpaceX, right?
Like that, yeah.
Jeff Bezos now he does trips to space,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and they'll go around the world. If they invited you to that, would you do that?
No.
Why not?
No, I mean I don't even like to get on scary.
You don't do scary
Yeah,
rides,
scary rides, man. Because I'm like, you know what? I don't need to take that chance.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's it. I mean, it's it'd be something cool, but I don't think it's for me. You know, I just I'm happy where I'm at. I feel safe here.
You're happy on land.
I'm happy on land.
You do
know?
planes?
I do planes. I'll do planes, but I'm always like, I always got myself a little.
Yeah.
That we landed. I mean, I always like,
Yeah.
you know, even though I'm not afraid anymore, but I just, you know, I just appreciate.
Yeah,
to be,
exactly.
to be on the land.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So we spoke about aliens.
Oh yeah.
Believe in aliens. Are you superstitious?
I think so. Yeah. Well, the way I look superstitious is there's things that we just don't see physically, and that could be real. You know, so that's how I see it. Is I think it depends how much you mean by superstitious, but I do believe in good luck. I do believe in bad luck. I do believe in karma. You know, do I carry something lucky every day? No.
A rock.
Yeah. You know, but I do. There's something there because, man, if it wasn't, I mean, life wouldn't. I don't know. There's something else. You know, that we just sometimes don't put a finger on, or maybe we don't have science to define it yet. You know, but it's real. You know, there's too many coincidences in my life that something. I've been in some houses that are haunted. You know, because I've been in thousands of homes. There's been a couple where like something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just where you just feel
You
it.
just walk in and
Yeah.
you just feel.
Yeah, there was this house actually. I shouldn't say it because people bought it. You know, nobody I knew, but I went to this house, right? And my client, he brought his pit bull with him, right? Which we're not supposed to, but he brought him in because you know he's walking around people's houses. So we go into this house, and my job, whenever I get to a property, I open it up, and then it's vacant. So I walked in just to go check it out, turn on some lights, make sure everything's cool. So then I walk in, and they're a few steps behind me, and I go around, and then it's time to go into the basement. So I open the door. I walk up like to the flight of stairs, and then I was about to go down, and then I felt something. Then I'm like, not going down there, you know. I'm just gonna wait over here. Like there's something, right? So I'm chilling on my phone around the corner, and then here comes my client with his dog, right? So he's like, "Oh, is that the basement?" Yeah, basement's down there. Like, good luck. All of a sudden, he starts walking down, and his dog at the top of the stairs just goes like this.
Yeah. Just.
Did not want to go down there, and he's like pulling the dog, like, what's going on? Like, just
Yeah.
Then he realized, and he keeps pulling it more, and the dog will not go down there. Starts making like a panty noise, and I'm seeing this, and I'm freaking out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I go, and his name's Mike. I go, Mike, something's wrong down there, man. I didn't want to go down there, and what your dog doing right now is freaking me out. We got to get out of here. Yeah, and that's at least 2 houses in town that's happened, and I've been in thousands of homes.
Mm-hmm.
But something. Anyways, I don't know if that answered your question about
No,
superstition.
it does.
But something was there, man.
Yeah.
The dog didn't want.
That's
to go
crazy how
downstairs.
they say that dogs can like sense stuff. I
They're
mean, not
super
crazy,
smart.
But it's just, I just feel like every animal's smart or anybody.
They sense like weather changes, and then
They
like
say the
those,
cows, no, también.
yeah,
The weather
también.
change
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. I find it pretty fascinating, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I am. I think I consider myself some a level superstitious. Yeah.
What do you think that bad energy is from? Do you have a theory on that? Theory is the word I was looking for earlier.
Well, let me tell you something that by law, realtors, there's two things we can't say about a house. Two things. If there was a flood, all that stuff, we have to. But there's two things that even if we knew, it's against the law to tell people. The first one is, and this was interesting, if the family had AIDS before, right? There's like a law. We can't tell. The second one is if there's been a death.
Oh, you legally can't tell them.
Yeah, like if they're inside.
What if they ask?
I don't know.
I've always
But if a client asks you, I want to make sure that no one's passed away in this house.
You know,
just can't. We can't find out.
What I'll tell them is like, you can go check the papers. See if go online, see if something happened. You can check police records. One day one of my clients was a cop, and he would every time he would pick a house, he'd like check the name, every house around it, like the history. So.
And that's interesting because I've always wondered that, and I always told my wife, because my wife and I like the houses like here, the ones that have character, the ones that have the basement,
right.
Stuff like that, a little bit more charm to them.
Yeah.
And I've been to houses, when we're looking at houses, you look at them and you go to the basement, you just feel different, or like, oh, this house was built in 1920 or 1919 or whatever. You're like, all this history,
Yeah.
and I wonder, I'm like, I wonder what's happening here, I'm like, do you think there's any deaths here? Nah, it's like, do you think they would actually tell you there's deaths? It's like, I don't know, but it's a good point though, because I've always wondered stuff like that.
Now you know, man. Now.
It's interesting though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like that sometimes. It's just a lot of history. 100-year-old house.
Yeah.
A lot of history.
It's a lot of history.
Yeah.
You can never know. Especially maybe the records, the first 50 years or something. Se perdieron o algo.
That's right.
So.
I don't know. That freaks me out. Yeah, I believe in that too.
It freaks him. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in that too.
We have a small booth here. I don't know if you ever been to the Engelberg's.
Yeah, antiques.
Antique stores.
Yeah.
We have a little booth.
Oh, okay.
And we had him on the podcast too. They said that place que según también como que there's been so many things that passed there because collectibles, antiques, dolls, stuff
that
like that.
all brings. I think that all brings energy with it.
Yeah, and he freaks out.
Yeah, I do. And they've said that they've seen like a guy in a wheelchair, and they've seen what was the other one that they've seen?
A little girl running around.
And they've seen a little girl running around.
Don't tell me that, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And they've said that they've like heard noises and that they've heard like things fall, and then when they go downstairs, nothing fell. It's just everything's good, but that kind of stuff just freaks me out. But
yeah, no, where I live right now, I remember it was a repossessed house. So it was a house and we found out it was a VA repossessed house. So I thought the person here was a veteran, so obviously older, right? And it was abandoned, right? And so always in the back of my head, I thought about it. And then when we moved in, maybe my son Armani was a couple years old. We heard him talking, we're like, Armani, who are you talking to? We walk in, he goes, oh, to the man. And we're like, what the
Oh man.
Yeah, so we still talk about that, like he was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And so there you go, man. Yeah, but my wife is always buying these creepy dolls for Halloween.
Oh,
I keep telling her, get
oh, hell. He does that too. He would buy these creepy dolls and sell them at the shop. I'm like, dude, we're not having that here anymore.
I know my wife will eventually watch this and don't bring him in, but she doesn't listen. It's gonna happen, So.
Yeah. No, I stopped doing that. No, ever since they said that, like it is true though. They bring energy because it's you know the history of the doll, you know what's going on, But that all the buildings here downtown. Obviously that's where everything starts and stuff like that. But yeah, that building has a lot of history. The one here in Cascade, or where the bank used to be, the Capitol, the big tower.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that big.
A lot of people that work in the janitorial business, they
yeah.
sit down in the basement, they hear things, y dicen que no regresan, which is interesting, but this is probably the oldest parts in Salem.
That's true.
It
is the oldest parts. That's true.
So,
I just have 2 more questions.
Yeah, man.
Do you read books?
Yeah, I do.
What do you have a couple books that you would recommend?
Well, the first one I recommend, is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
right? It's one of the first ones because I think that's one of the first ones that helped me transition, like connect money and life, you know, just how to think about it. Because we're not taught about money, you know, we're not taught about investing, you know, so I think that one should be one of the first ones people read just to get it out of the way because there's so much more, but that's one of the first ones, you know, I like to focus on. After that, most of them are marketing. And I can't really tell you too many of the names, but anything has to do with marketing, I love to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. That's a good
Yeah.
book. Let's see. Oh, two more questions.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Are there any movies that motivate you?
You know, I've always liked the movies of the underdog.
Okay.
You know, the underdog. You know, what was I just watching? I was watching I don't know. I always liked. My dad always liked westerns. He liked action movies. You know, like the Rambos and all that back in the day. But then I like a lot of the movies with like the mobs. You know, I like Donnie Brasco. You know, the guy that went undercover. You know, with the mob. I like Johnny Depp's other movie. Maybe not just Johnny Depp's movies, but Blow. You know, seen the movie Blow?
I don't think
Good
so.
movie.
I don't know.
That's a good movie.
We'll have
Yeah.
to watch it.
Yeah, it's just to me, it's one of my favorite movies. Carlito's Way. I love Al Pacino movies. Carlito's Way. You know, I love that. I love those kind of movies.
Do you watch all these mob guy interviews?
Yeah, I watch it.
They're
That's
good, huh?
true. That's right. Yeah, because it's the real deal. You know, I always tell my wife, I think a lot of that stuff interests me because I never be like that. So I'm always curious how people think.
Yeah, how they live, how they think.
Yeah, because it's not me. So I'm always just, you know, interested in
You
that.
kind of get into that. You kind of try to get into how the way of thinking, you know,
Yeah.
how they grew up or why they made those decisions, which is pretty interesting, at least for me too.
That's right.
I find it interesting too. I watch a couple of the guys.
But I think that's just in anything though too, not just, you know, the mobsters. But.
They live interesting lives. So. And then last thing, this is for him. What's the best excuse for being late that you've heard?
Best.
He's late all the time. So
That's a good. Well, the best one is my sister. My sister Letty.
You don't need to name names. I'm my sister.
Shout out to Letty.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Letty.
we know when she says, "Oh, I'm just leaving." We know. The best excuse is not admitting you're late.
Yeah.
I'm not late, and she would just not know. What time did you guys say? No, I'm not late. And then we're like, forget it.
Yeah.
She wins. You know, because what do we say?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she just will not admit being late.
Bam. There we go.
Yeah.
Ya tú sabes.
You're on time whenever.
I'm always on time.
You're always on time.
I'm always on time.
I didn't mean to mess it up for you guys, but that's.
No,
Oh,
it's
no.
okay.
That's why he gets you
I'm
all
always
the
dragging
show.
No,
his hair.
It's gonna be funny now when he uses those excuses.
No, he already does it, man. He acts like he's not late. He already does it. It's
not
already
late.
his playbook.
There we go. What do you got?
One thing I was particular, what type of music do you like?
Let's see. So that's a good question, man. So, if you would have asked me when I was 7, 8 years old, I would say no. Hold on. When I was early middle school, right? Let's say 5th, 6th grade, heavy metal.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, heavy metal. That was my number. I grew up in North Marion School District, you know. So all my friends, that's what they were listening to, heavy metal. You know, Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister.
Favorite song?
Let's see. So my favorite song was Final Countdown
Oh, really?
by Europe, you know. And then here comes hip hop.
Ooh.
And so then that took over.
Yeah.
Early hip hop, you know, early hip hop breakdance. I was a breakdancer.
Oh, okay.
I was the number 1 breakdancer of 4th grade in North Marion.
There you go.
There we go.
You know, and so I would say hip hop until then there was some, you know what, I guess it was mostly, I didn't like the East Coast rap back then. It was mostly West Coast. Then, you know, gangster rap came. We loved that stuff. You know, we thought we were that too, you know, in high school.
Biggie or Tupac?
No, Tupac. Yeah, Tupac. You know, like I said, the East Coast flavor wasn't me at that time. You know, now it's different. You know, let's see. And then after that, you know, we like cumbia. You know, my family loved to dance. You know, but to me, cumbia, sonidero music. I remember we had our first restaurant was in 2003, and we had a nightclub part. And my tío from Mexico City said, "Hey, you guys got to play these people, sonideros and Procual and all these people." And we're like, "Send it." So he would send us the CDs. and we were one of the first ones to be playing the sonidero music here in Salem, and it just blew up. You know, people really love that. And then here comes reggaeton.
Mhm.
You know, reggaeton, and that vibe is probably my favorite.
Reggaeton.
Yeah, actually, no, hold on. There's one more. The only other one that I do have to mention is my sisters. You know, they're a little older than me. They grew up around the disco times.
Mhm.
So disco music, you know, early '80s R&B, but that disco vibe, I love that stuff. I listen to it all day. Yeah.
For reggaeton, the new reggaeton or the old reggaeton?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it's just as long as it's a good beat.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention to the
Because
words.
it's really different.
Yeah.
It is really different. I don't know. Do you remember the old reggaeton?
Like what that Yankee and stuff.
Don
Don
Omar,
Omar.
you know, stuff like that. Like just a little bit, you know, that now it's so different though. It has changed so much. I like them both, to be honest.
I think they're making the music way too fast today, right? So, but some of them is good. I mean, I like it. I love it. I love the beat. I love the vibe. You know. But the early reggaeton, I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah. What do you think of Peso Pluma?
Peso Pluma, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Because he's. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, just because you know, as long as the beat's good and it's funny and things happen, I'm down with it. You know, the only thing I don't like is country music. I just can't.
I'm the same way.
can't.
I can't. I hear no beat. I don't.
You know,
I just can't do it. My
Yeah.
wife likes country music. I don't.
Yeah.
You do. You do.
I like country music.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
I do.
There has to be a few of us, you know.
Yeah. Haters.
I know.
Yeah.
I tried, man. I tried, but it's just not for me.
Last, I just want to thank you again.
Anyway,
I know that you have a very busy schedule. You had 2 events this morning that you went to well, not this morning, but throughout the day. So we appreciate you getting us on your schedule, man. That means a lot. As soon as I sent you a text message, you were super supportive and you showed up and you keep saying that you're willing to help in any way you can. So we greatly appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've subscribed, you know. Let me know if, you know, whatever, however I can help. You let me know. We need you guys to be successful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out.
Did you have like a social media or?
Oh, you know, I do. I mean, I have some personal ones, but if anybody just searches Jose Gonzalez Salem, Jose Gonzalez Tu Casa, Jose Gonzalez Real Estate, they'll find me. I'm easy. All right, thanks, bro.
There we go.
No, thank you for your time. It was cool.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
all you.
Checking out.
Let's go.
Bam.